Hello one and all, it's review Dr. Stone, chapter 161, Craft Wars. And we open up with Chrome setting up his plan to somehow, someway, dig a tunnel into the Kingdom of Science and take out Dr. X. And I do just absolutely love this shot of Suka making friends with the mole along the way. That's such a Suka thing to do. And also just love everyone's reaction when Chrome announces he's going to build a roadmap. I mean, Ukyo, Kohaku, Suka, like, alright, he can do this. But Hyoga seems fairly zen about this whole thing. He doesn't even have any complaints about them putting their lives in the hands of what is essentially a savage to him. But while Tsukasa seems somewhat humbled, somewhat reminiscent, maybe he's flashing back to Senku's own inventions, maybe, I'm not sure. This is a very zen pose for him to take. I really like it. Meanwhile, over at their headquarters, they're deciding what the best way is to keep the enemy from attacking them too early. So they decide they need to scare the enemy just a little bit. I do just love a shot of Luna looking after Senku, essentially serving as his voice. That's just so cute. Oh, Kohaku's gonna be jealous when she gets back, and I am very excited to see that. Very, very excited to see that. So Senku gives the order, let's give Dr. X a very special present. And despite everything else, I just really have to be utterly terrified by how accurate Ukyo's shot is. I mean, this is from several hundred feet away, and he still manages to get the arrow to lodge into the door with the petrification device on it, which, certainly would have weighed it down and been an issue. That's just an absolutely amazing shot, and it really showed where her specialty is. And then our good old reporter friends, like, wouldn't we need a liar? And wouldn't this liar somehow have to guess our whole plan and keep the bluff going by claiming the device is just one of our petrification devices? Are we saying we have someone in the enemy camp who could pull it off? I mean, just who would that be? I'm racking my brain. I can't think of anyone. Hey, it's good old Jen, looking utterly, truly mortified at seeing the petrification device, and quickly in the span of all of 5 seconds figuring out exactly what Senku's plan is. I freaking love you, Jen. You're just so good at going with the flow, figuring out what is expected of you, and then just making everyone else believe it too. I mean, there's a little bit of a hole in his story, though. He says, fortunately, this one was a dud, or else we'd all be turned to stone right now. Okay, if that is actually, the argument you're going for here, what's keeping, Senku's team from firing another one at you, which isn't a dud, and petrifying all of you? That feels like, a big hole in his story, and something that would definitely cause the others to lose a lot of faith in whatever he has to say. I mean, he does a fairly good job of explaining the whole reason why he thought Dr. Taiju was the true scientist. These two are inseparable. Clearly, they tricked me. They manipulated me. They lied to me. And this works to convince Dr. X. He's like, oh yeah, I remember when Senku used to send me photos. He'd include his buddy in the picture with him. That's probably the one he's talking about. And that's enough to make Dr. X believe that Jen might be telling the truth. So that's all they really need at this point. Well, that and to see the device and realize that there is no way this thing could have been built with current technology or even the technology of the old world. It's something else. It's something alien, something foreign, something this world has never seen before. The actual creator of the device, I'm really narrowing it down to 3 things. Like Senku said, it could have been from aliens, could have been delivered from the future somehow, some way. I mean, that seems unlikely, but we are talking about a device that turns people to stone, so maybe. And third is it was designed by an AI, a self-sufficient AI who managed to make itself grow exponentially smarter over time, and by doing so created a super advanced piece of technology that no one else in the world could have made. All good possibilities. So getting back to Jen, they didn't really seem to show him being told that Senku was shot. I mean, he straight up says, was that the lie you were hoping for, dear Senku? I can't imagine any other reason to deliver the actual weapon into the hands of the enemy. So does he not know that Stanley shot Senku? Because he definitely seems to think this was the kind of thing only Senku would order, the kind of thing only Senku would come up with. So maybe he's already figured 2 and 2 together and realized, okay, Senku was shot, but knowing him, he figured out a way to survive. And this plan, this is straight up Senku. So clearly he's the one that thought of it, and guess that means he's still alive. And then I think Jen makes a very, very dumb mistake, attempting to strike fear into the heart of Stanley. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Sorry, Jen, no matter how good you are, you're not gonna scare this man. I mean, he's like, should you lose your patience and strike the ship, it's right back to being a statue for you. Stanley doesn't even flinch, doesn't blink. He's like, alright, whatever. God, he's a terrifying person. And speaking of terrifying, they then decide to cover Jen's ears with Olga while she sings a sea shanty, so that they don't overhear what they're planning. Why? Why go through all this? I mean, at first I assumed this was, they were attempting to torture Jen to get the information out of him to, break some bones and see how long it took him to crack to reveal the truth about everything that's going on. But if they're just doing this so that he doesn't overhear their talking, overhear what they're planning, then couldn't they have just locked him in a closet or something? I mean, I'm sure he could pick a lock, but that feels like, a step too far, an unnecessary step at that, just to keep Jen from hearing what they're talking about. Then we go down to the basement where Mr. Brody is planning something evil and giant scientific weapon, which, just like the tunnel, will be done in about 2 weeks. So that's going to make a very, very interesting final fight between the two of them. We also learn a bit more about him. His name is Dr. Brody, the genius mechanic with a golden right arm. So many questions about that. And so many questions about whatever the freak it is he's building. I mean, this is a very vague structure, so very unclear. I mean, some people were saying it was submarine, but, Senku's team has a sonar, so I don't think that would really, be that much of a cover. To me, this looks like a missile silo to launch a rocket at Senku's team, and I saw other people online saying that, oh, no, it can't be a missile silo because, that would kill everyone on the ship, and then, that would be the end of it. I mean, the reason they killed Senku was try to force everyone else to surrender, so there's not really a whole lot of purpose in just straight up killing the people. But also don't forget that when Dr. X was teaching Senku, giving him all those lessons and whatnot, he told him that it could be very simple to turn his rocket into a weapon delivering a gas payload, something that could cause, something that could use for chemical warfare to kill thousands. I mean, replace gas payload filled with murderous gas with sleeping powder, or some sort of temporary paralytic or something like that. It could launch over Senku's ship, explode, and then pour sleeping powder on all of them to make them fall asleep, so that Stanley's team can go in, abduct them, and bring them back to their own kingdom of science, and eventually convince them to come work for them, or throw them in jail or kill them or whatever. It would essentially be a blood-free victory, well, besides Senku's blood, for Dr. X's team, and I could definitely see that being what they have planned here. And then we see good old Chrome doing the calculations, and I just absolutely love this. I love to see how far he's come. Back when you did the Battle of Math against Senku, he got his butt beat many times over to the point where it's actually embarrassing. But here he's able to do the triangulations, figure out all the math by himself. And my favorite part about all this is the math is actually right. This is the legit math you would need to do in order to do these calculations. You see him multiplying 1.7 by 1.7, 1.72 by 1.72, and then 1.73 by 1.73. He's doing that attempting to figure out, or at least roughly estimate, the square root of 3. He needed to figure that out. He needed to know that for the calculations. Since he didn't have a calculator, he only, guesstimate. He just, all right, it's somewhere between 1 and 2, so let's try 1.7. That didn't work. 1.72, that didn't work. 1.73. Okay, that's close enough. That works. And with that, he's able to figure out the exact length of the tunnel, exactly how far he needs to dig in order to reach the enemy's headquarters. And I absolutely love that. I love seeing how far he's come. That's the fact that they actually put all the correct math in here. I mean, that's such a small detail. They just put like random numbers here and a few mathematical looking things. Half the fan base would be like, yep, that's the math, all right. All right, moving on. They wouldn't really know a difference that this is the actual math they need unless they really sat down and looked at it, and I just love that little detail. It's so amazing, so perfect. As Chrome's drawing the roadmap, his first ever roadmap all by himself. And, it came out better than I expected. For some reason, he drew himself as a Cyclops, but okay, we never claimed he was an artist. And, it's nowhere near as detailed as Senku's is, but it looks fairly decent for all things considered. I love the little doodles of Senku and Ruri that he put on the page, because of course he did. And everyone is very impressed. Even Sukus is like, wow, he's really come a long way here. Though I do have to point out that he misspelled rotating. Digorific rotating loop knife. He had to cross out the Y. Still, he's only learned to read and write in like the past 2 years. To come this far is very impressive. And the plan seems fairly simple. He's going to use iron and good old Kosaki's bad skills, along with an engine, to create a rotating tool that'll cut through the ground. as well as a puffing machine to circulate the air so they don't, suffocate down there. It's very important. It's not the kind of thing one would think about, first time they're trying to dig a tunnel underground. So the fact they put that much thought into it, figured exactly what he needed like that is a great move on his part, and I'm very impressed by it. And honestly, so is Tsukasa. He looks so surprised. I love it. And then he's all proud, like, oh, you people in the modern world, you never would have thought of this. This diggerific, rotating, impelling, land-eating loop knife. They're like, it's a drill. Dang it! You guys already knew what it was. Oh, God, that's such a callback to a few different times. But, most importantly, when he built the water wheel with Kasi, that project he spent days and days working on in secrets that Senku wouldn't find out just to show it to him. And Senku was definitely impressed, but he was well aware of what it actually was. So yeah, next chapter begins the work on the diggerific, rotating, impelling, land-eating loop knife. Very excited to see exactly how they make it, how it's going to work. It doesn't seem like it's going to be all that complicated of a device to create. I mean, nothing on this roadmap seems all that complicated. They have engines lying around everywhere. Creating the loop knife, the actual drill part of it's going to be interesting, but I have no doubt that Kasi can create something like that very easily. How they're going to get the information to him that they need that, and then get him to bring the supplies back over to them, not really sure. I don't forget Max and Carlos. Oh, I forgot about Max and Carlos. They're still on guard duty, so they're definitely going to be aware of anyone leaving the ship, and they'll report that back to headquarters, so not really sure how they're going to, sneak out, but I guess, first things first, they could recruit them, because Luna switched sides, so that means they're probably going to switch sides. I mean, they don't really serve Dr. X. They serve Luna above all else. So I can certainly see them joining Senku's team and lying to Dr. X. We haven't seen anything. Nope, nothing crazy's going on here. Certainly they aren't building a massive underground digging tunnel to break into your base and take you all out. But yeah, please, let me get all this down below. What do you think of Chrome's first blueprint, his first roadmap to science? Do you think it's going to work? And what's going to happen with this timetable? They said it's going to take about 2 weeks to get all this done, and Dr. X says it's going to take about 2 weeks to get his, I'm going with sleeping powder missile thing up and running. So it's definitely going to be a race, but I don't feel like it can end with, Dr. X's team being like, dang it, we were so close to launching this rocket. I feel like they have to launch it. That's the whole Chekhov's gun thing. If you ever see a gun in a movie, at some point it has to fire. You ever see a missile silo? At some point a missile has to come flying out of it. This will also hopefully be helpful for Senku and his team, since, they're trying to build a freaking rocket to go to the moon. Having one built already, even if just, a missile silo, is going to be a big step forward and really helpful for them. But yeah, all this down below. Be sure and like, subscribe to the next video. Please, I'm very close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. It's been a big goal of mine. I'd really like to hit it before the end of the year. And until next time,
peace.